Hello and welcome to your first video with TV Mess. Obviously we're all stuck at home, so this is where we're going to be learning for a little while, and the lessons are going to be structured slightly differently to what it would be like if I was in the room with you there. We're basically going to learn hopefully a riff a week. Some riffs like today we're going to have a little look at Slither by Velvet Revolver. This one we're going to split over 3 lessons. And these lessons are aimed at the people working at a grade 3, 4 and 5 levels. So if you're watching this, obviously you know who you are. We're not only just going to learn the song, we're going to learn what key it's in. We're going to learn a little bit about the rhythms within the song as well. And just have a little talk over a little bit of the history of the band we might be covering. The guitarists themselves, some of the ways you can get these guitar tones at home as well. And we're going to be covering many different styles. So today we're starting with, like as just said there, Velvet Revolver, Slither. We're going to be starting with quite a heavy rock song. But you know, we might go into some country, some pop music, just covering a lot of different genres just to keep everybody interested. And like I say, looking at a little bit of the theory behind them as well. So I've got a little clip of all the parts that we're going to be learning from Slither, which will start in just a second. It's going to be split into 3 videos. We're going to have the intro this week. Next week, we're going to look at the main riff that follows throughout the intro, the verses and the choruses in a few different variations. And there's a nice little lead line, which you will see in the clip coming up now as well. So without any further ado, I will show you the clip of all the parts that you will be playing, and then we will get into the lesson. Okay, so first things first, first thing we're going to talk about is the actual band themselves, Velvet Revolver. So Velvet Revolver was formed in the early 2000s. Basically, Velvet Revolver is just Guns N' Roses, which I'm sure you all know the band Guns N' Roses, like Sweet Child of Mine, Welcome to the Jungle. It's basically the full band of Guns N' Roses without the lead vocalist, Axl Rose. Okay, so we've got Slash, Duff McKagan, and Matt Sorum on the drums. They did get a new rhythm guitar player in to back Slash, and obviously a new singer as well. So it's basically just Guns N' Roses with a new frontman. Slash does play obviously on a Les Paul guitar. I was using my Strat today. I don't have my Les Paul around with me, and the Strat will feature in each of these videos. And just talk about how I got that sound. Now, I've got my pedal board here. You'll notice there'll have been a little bit of repeats going on if you listen carefully when it does stop before the intro starts. That was done by my analog delay pedal that I've got here. And with me playing a Strat and it having single coil pickups, it is a lot more of a lighter sound. So to thicken it up a little bit, I had my Blues Breaker overdrive on. So this side of this pedal is a Blues Breaker style pedal. All overdrives, just different styles, but you've got your main 3 or 4 styles of overdrive pedals. So I've got my Blues Breaker style on there. I stacked my clon style overdrive into it just to thicken it up, make it a little bit heavier. And then I had my compressor on just to raise the level of everything a little bit more and just thicken up that sound. And that's how I achieve that thicker sound. Now, you don't need to go out and get a load of pedals to get these sounds. Most of you at home will have an amp with 2 channels on. If you just flick that overdrive channel on, whack that gain up to 11, and you should have a nice heavy rock sound regardless of the guitar you've got. But just with the students that I know will be watching this, I thought it would be cool for you to see what's going on the pedal board itself. Okay, so let's get into the riff itself now, mainly focusing on the intro. Now the intro of this song does have 3 guitar parts. So we're going to look at each of those 3 guitar parts, and it's just completely up to you which one you want to play along with the track when you do play it, because they're both very dominant guitar parts in there. You can really hear those, so you can switch it up a little bit when you're playing. Play one or the other, or mainly focus on one bass. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so the first part I'm going to show you of Slither is going to be the scratchy guitar parts, and that's going to be the official name of them, the scratchy guitar parts at the start of this song. Pretty easy to do, and they're pretty random as well. If you watch him playing this live, he will play it slightly differently to the track. They'll always be slightly different. But to get the pitch of them right, you want to get your fingers muted over the 5th fret of all the strings there. So when I say muted, you just want to rest your fingers on the strings, so they're not fretting the notes, but they are touching the strings. You're then just going to get your pick on the side like this, and you're going to scratch it against the strings, and you want to be focused on scratching against the D and the A string, and it'll just sound like this. And you hear the way that repeated there and there, and that was just the delay pedal there, just putting those repeats in. Don't worry if you haven't got that, that's really not necessary, just adds an extra little bit of delay to it. So there's the first part done, nice and easy. If you do need to go over that again, please just rewind this video and just look at that description, nice and easy to do this first bit. Okay, so before we start looking at any of the parts in the song, we're just going to talk about what key this song is in. So this song has been written in the key of D minor, and all of the parts, the little lead melody run before it goes into the verse, the actual riff itself, and the chords that have been pulled from the key have all come from the D natural minor scale. Now, anybody who's watching this will have done the natural minor scale before. We covered it in grade 2. Actually, we did it in grade 1 and grade 2. In grade 3, you're expected to know it in any key on the neck. So I'm not expecting anybody to have any issues with this, so I'm not going to actually spend a lot of time on this scale. We should know where the D note is on our E string, and you just want to put that D natural minor scale in there, and it sounds like this. Okay, so that's the group of notes that this song has been taken from. So if you did want to have a little go at doing a little bit of improvising over it, which I would encourage, with you being on grade 3 and 4 level now, we're going to be doing a lot of improvising when we get back into your lessons for your lead playing section of the exam. So I would recommend going at that D natural minor scale and having a little go at playing some stuff over the track as well. Okay, so now that we've covered that, let's get into the parts of the intro. We have 3 guitar parts, like I said. Okay, so to play this song, we are going to have to tune our guitar into drop D. Now, all that means, if you are unsure, is we're just going to tune this low E string to a D note. So as a little bit of an ear training exercise, I want you to play your D string and play your E string together, and just tune your E string down until you think it sounds the same as the D string. And there we go. Okay, so now that we've covered that first scratchy guitar part at the beginning, we're going to get into the 2 guitar parts that play throughout that intro on the build-up to the main riff and the verse. Okay, so this track is in 141 beats per minute, and all we're going to do, our inversions are going to be slightly different of these chords, with our E string being tuned to a D here. So we're going to start, I've just got it written down rough on a whiteboard here. We're going to start with a D5. Now I'm going to show you which inversion of a D5 we're going to play. It looks very much like a D chord, could almost be mistaken as a D chord. But we don't want that major third in there because it'll clash with the minor key of this song. So we'll go over that. We're then going to go with C5, a G5 and a D5. All we're going to do is we're going to count along in time each time we strike one of these chords. And we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. We're going to mute our A string and our now D string. And we're going to do the rhythm of Mango Mango. So I will show you that now. And I will play along with the track for that. 1, 2, mango, mango, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, mango, mango, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, mango, mango, 1, 2, 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 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we know the BPM of the song and also how the strum pattern is going to work for this song as well. We're going to look at those chord inversions, okay? So the first chord inversion that you're going to play is a D5 chord. We want the thinner, brighter sound of our high strings, which is why we're going for this particular inversion. You can get this inversion on your A and your D string, which everybody will be more familiar with. It just sounds a little bit more mellow, which is not what we want. We want those brighter sound of your highest strings in there. So all I want you to do is fret a D chord. Now what's going to be important when you strike this chord is not to hit that major third, which is our F sharp at the bottom, because it'll turn that D5 chord into a D major chord and it'll clash with the minor of the key. So we're going to stick with a D5 chord. Now when you strike this D5 chord, we want a really, really big, thick, full sound. So we're going to, unlike normally when we strike a D chord, we're going to strike that low. What we have now is a low D string, our A string, our D string, our G and our B, and it's just going to sound like this. I'll play it, I'll count along as well, just so you know how you should be counting. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, mango, mango. All I did there was I palm muted my A and my D string. And the pick movements, as I've said many times in the lesson before, should be coming from the movement of your thumb against your finger here. And you're going to hold your palm against the string so it's muted, but you still get the notes ringing out. And you're just going to play Mango Mango. So there's your first chord inversion. From there, we're going to go with C5 chord. And it's going to be C5 chord you're very, very familiar with. We're not changing the versions up on this particular one. When you play the C5 chord, I do also want you to play the C octave on your G string as well. So we're going to have our first finger on the 3rd fret of our A string, our 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the D, and our pinky on the 5th fret of our G string. Once again, we're going to strike it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, mango, mango. There's our second to last chord inversion. From there, we're going to go with G5. Now for this particular G5 chord, we're going to ignore the note that we normally have on our E string, which is a G on the 3rd fret. That G note has now moved, with us being tuned half step down. So we're going to ignore that lower G note. And we're going to play the 5th note from the G major scale, which makes the 5 chord, which is the D on our A string. We're going to use our 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the A string. We're then going to put our pinky on the 5th fret of the D string, and we're going to put our 2nd finger on the G string 4th fret. And once again, we're just going to strike just those 3 strings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, mango, mango. We're then going to strike our D5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to strike the D5 at the end for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then mute for 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's where the main riff's going to come in, which we'll work on next week. Okay? So there's guitar part 2 from that intro. We're now going to look at the third and final part from that intro. Okay? Okay, so this last part is going to be split into 4 little sections, and it's the octave run part, so you'll hear that second guitar part in there. It's quieter than the actual chord parts, but they are there if you listen carefully. So like I said, it's going to be split into 4 separate parts, and they're just little octave runs. So I've got them written down here. You'll have seen them in that previous clip there. So have a little go find them. You can pause the video there, and I'm just going to go through them now as well so you can hear how they are. So there's your parts there. Okay, so part number 1. We're going to find all these notes on our A string for this octave run. So we're going to remember octaves just like a 5 chord, but instead of 2 frets along, 1 string up, it's 2 frets along, 2 strings up. And you just want to mute that D string with your first finger to get that in there. And it's going to be like this. Section number 1 is D, F, G. So there's the first one. Second one is going to be D, F, D, C. Third one is going to be D, F, G again. And then finally the fourth one is going to be D, F, C, and just stop that one dead. And it'll be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the main riff will come in. Okay? So there's your 4 separate parts there. If you do want to look back over which of those, each of those octave parts are, you can pause the video, go back and forth as you know. So yeah, just have a little go at playing that. So I hope you've enjoyed your first video, TVMS video, and I'll see you in the next one next week to work on that main riff.